it's Risa with another speed build. So I kind of want to start a series. I'm starting so many series right now. The one where I want to do like houses through time periods. That sounds really fun. But I also kind of want to do a series kind of based around like houses in different parts of the US mostly. Basically, I'm starting with places where I've lived. I was doing some searching for inspiration for builds in San Diego, which is where I grew up. And there's a specific part of San Diego that's kind of by the beach. It's called Pacific Beach. It's an entire neighborhood that's, as you can imagine, by the beach. And it has a lot of really, like, I wouldn't say, like, stereotypical houses for the area, but it's definitely a, like, SoCal, like, if I saw the house, I would be like, yeah, that's in SoCal. That's in Southern California. So that's my first thing is I'm trying to do, like, this first one is a house that makes me think of Southern California, because that's where I grew up and everything. I also at some point would like to do one that's, like, a stereotypical, like, Colorado house, and I think that'll be really fun too, because I lived in Colorado for 6 years, so I like to think I know kind of what it is. So I was doing Google Maps through Pacific Beach, and I came across a house that looked like so many houses I've been to in my life, or I have like friends who had houses that looked like this. And sometimes lived in houses that kind of looked like this. But the one that I saw that really caught my, like, eye had these blue shutters, and it's white. So in Southern California, we tend to not really have, like, siding or brick on the outside of our houses. Most of them are stucco. And, like, or plaster, you know. It's not really so much of a thing to have, like, clapboard siding on your house as much, at least in, like, the San Diego area, partially because by the coast it's just kind of like, I don't know, not really necessary. It's just, like, the easier thing to keep clean when there's dust everywhere is just, like, stucco. You know? So, there's that. I wanted to specifically make this a starter home. And I wanted to limit my pack usage because I think that's always fun to be able to do that. So I decided, since I was doing a SoCal themed starter home, I included Get Famous. And I'm doing it in Del Sol Valley, which Del Sol Valley is honestly fantastic. I love it. But I specifically tried to use Get Famous, but here's the problem. Here's the problem with Get Famous. Is that all of the items in Get Famous are, how do I put it? They're all super expensive. They're really not good for a starter home. I tried, but it just didn't work out very well. I wanted to make a kitchen that's similar to all of the kitchens I've had in California. Like, all of the kitchens that I've been in, really, and a lot of the kitchens that, like, my friends had when I would go over to their houses. And that is really, like, either there's, like, a half wall, or there's a wall with a window in it to see out into the next room, or it's just an island. So I wanted to do that. I realized that I'm not on the kitchen yet, but when I was putting it together, I was like, yeah, I should talk about that. But I used the Get Famous bed here, and it's, like, the most expensive thing that I used. You know, I just felt like if I'm not using the stuff from Get Famous, then it's just another base game house. I considered using the Get Famous, like, windows, and I just didn't. They didn't work for me because I couldn't find a door that really fit it that was also a good, like, color. So I just went for this instead. And I like that $50 50 simoleon door that comes in, like, the white, black, and the blue. I think that ends up being really nice. I also splurged and I got some not the cheapest counters and everything like that. And you'll see in a minute, I end up getting a bar as well for the whatchamacallit. And I get some some cabinets. So I really wanted to make it a starter home, but I also wanted to make it like not feel like a starter home. I wanted to make it feel like it's in California, which there are plenty of really shitty starter homes in California. If I'm gonna be real here, it's not like great. There are a lot of really bad things. I was really irritated to see that the bar didn't have a swatch that matched the counters that I was already using, so I was like, okay then, fine. But I wanted to include the bar because I figured like maybe this is a house for like a star to be. So I don't know, someone a hopeful who's moving here. I thought that would be nice. That's a nice little thing. Really shouldn't have spent all that. I end up with not enough money to landscape it or give it a backyard, but again, that's pretty California. That's pretty SoCal to just not have a backyard. You just like have some gravel or some concrete out back for a patio, and then you get like a couple of those plastic pool chairs. That's California for you. SoCal has some really bad houses. It's like, how do I put it? That is definitely where like McMansions are the worst. You know, is SoCal. I will be real with you. Also, I tried to make a bigger, like, living room area, but I just couldn't make it work for me. Because I really wanted to have that bookcase, even though it's really expensive. And I tried to do the end table and everything, but I ended up replacing it with a plant. The plant from Get Famous, which I love. Because I wanted to put it somewhere. I also wanted to not just have completely empty walls. So I did include some of the cheaper art I could find. Because I wanted something, you know, to make it not just terrible. I do end up changing that. I know I used the same thing twice, but I ended up changing it to just the 3 pairs, I think is what it ends up being. Yeah. Honestly, that bigger roof trim is not accurate, but I just didn't like how the smaller one was looking in The Sims. So I went with it. A lot of times in like the neighborhood I'm talking about, they don't really have like a lawn so much as they have like gravel and concrete out front. If that makes sense. Also, I didn't want to spend money on gates, so I just saved money instead. But yards oftentimes in California just aren't that big, especially since what I hated about this lot is that it's a 40 by 30 lot, and I didn't want to make a big enough house for that, so it's kind of empty, but that's okay. I really wanted to pull in, like, how do I put it? Definitely, like, you do get a lot of, like, suburb, like, people who want to be suburban, who have like big green lawns and stuff, but it just seems silly, you know? So I didn't include that. And like in my experience, people are more likely to just like replace things with like gravel and cacti, so I kind of wanted to do that. Like you can have like a little bit of a green lawn, but you really just want to make it look less dead because it takes so much water, and they're often in like drought conditions and you're not allowed to use water to water your lawn, so you want to make it as like easy to take care of as possible, really. I included like a sidewalk on the side and in the back because I wanted it to seem less empty. But, so I used the live edit objects, those cypress trees that they already have on the other side of the other lot. Here I am downgrading some things to afford maybe something new. But, and now I'm struggling with debug objects because they are so difficult to not have, and I didn't want to do the trick where you lower the foundation to be able to fit things closer to it, but I probably should have. I was just being obstinate. you know? Also, I cut out a bunch of me just scrolling endlessly through debug because I didn't think you guys needed to see that, you know? I think you're probably good. I wanted to add, like, it was really hard to do this because I really wanted to have, like, a fence around it, but none of the fences are really that great for this. So instead I just used some terrain paint in a little bit and lots of rocks. And all of those rocks still cost something, even though they're debug objects, and I hate that. Also, I just took all of the big ones and made them small because that worked for me. You know, sometimes you just gotta do things that work for you. I kind of wish I could have a yard like that, but only if I was living somewhere that, you know, that made sense. Here I try to afford a fence and, you know, I could have sold some things to do it, but I didn't want to. I didn't feel like it. So I gave them a little more of a yard. I should have used some like terrain paint out back to make it look concrete because that is super, super accurate to make it just look like it's concrete. Because that's what a lot of backyards are like in Southern California. Like, to be real. Just gonna put that out there. Okay, so I am getting to the end of the build. If you guys like this house, you can download it on the gallery from my ID kookykitt. If you guys like this video and you want to see more like it, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit that bell button to get a notification every time I post a new video. If you guys like this video, give it a big old thumbs up and leave me a comment telling me what you think about it and what area in the US I should do next. So thank you guys so much for watching and peace out, y'all.